The Carnival at the Sale Barn. There are certain voices a body never forgets. For me, it was the first time I heard an auctioneer at the sale barn. Lord, it rattled through me like a freight train made out of syllables. Fast, rolling, never stopping for air. I was 4, maybe 5, small enough to be knee-high to the wooden benches, and when that man let loose his chant, I thought I'd stumbled into some kind of carnival sideshow. To a child's ears, it wasn't commerce, it was music. Not fiddles and banjos, but something stranger, a rhythm you couldn't quite dance to but wanted to try. My grandparents, born in the teen years of the last century, just smiled and watched my jaw hang open. They'd been in barns like this all their lives. For them, it was Tuesday business. For me, it was a revelation. The air was thick with smells I couldn't yet name. Hay and manure, sweat and tobacco, diesel smoke from trucks idling outside, the sound of hooves clattering on wooden ramps, the bawl of calves separated from their mamas, the low murmur of men in caps bidding with nothing more than a twitch of a finger. And then that voice again, climbing and tumbling like a roller coaster made out of numbers. I sat there pressed against my grandpa's side, half scared, half enchanted. And I remember thinking, this is life, whatever it is, this is life. Tomatoes on rails. Not long after, I found myself in another kind of barnyard theater, only this time the smell was sharp and sweet. Tomatoes stacked high in wooden crates, shining red under a tin roof. My grandparents had rigged the old pickup with wooden rails on the bed, tall enough to hold a mountain of fruit. Those rails were weathered smooth from years of use, and when the truck bumped down the road toward the shed, the whole load swayed and creaked like it had its own heartbeat. The tomato shed wasn't as noisy as the sale barn, but it had its own music. The thump of crates being set down, the murmur of women tallying numbers with pencils, the flap of paper tickets on a nail. I watched my grandmother's hands, red-stained from picking, slide across the counter as she made her sale. And I saw pride in her eyes, the kind that comes not from making a fortune, but from seeing the fruits of her own back bent under the sun. For a child, it was another carnival. Not rides and lights, but color and bustle, and the feeling that we were part of a world bigger than our own backyard. The hill at Johnsville. But the sharpest memory came one day on the road to Johnsville. The truck was loaded again, tomatoes stacked high, rails straining. We were climbing a hill, steeper than any I'd seen, and suddenly the truck groaned, shuddered, and slowed. I can still feel it, my stomach rising into my throat, the fear that we'd roll backwards, tumble end over end, crates and all. My little hands clutched the seat. The road itself seemed monstrous, too big for us, a beast waiting to swallow the truck whole. My grandfather didn't flinch. He muttered, turned a knob, worked the gears, and coaxed life back into the engine. To him, it was a hiccup, a fix on the roadside. To me, it was a miracle. And when the truck lurched forward again, climbing steady toward the crest, I knew I was safe. Not because the truck was strong, but because Papa was. Even now, when I drive that same stretch as a grown man, the hill looks small, hardly worth noticing. But in my mind's eye, I still see it through a child's gaze, a mountain conquered by a grandfather's sure hands. The circle turns. Looking back, I see what my grandparents were really giving me. It wasn't cattle or tomatoes or the secret of how to keep a pickup running on a prayer. It was experience. They were showing me life, the good, the ordinary, and the scary, as only grandparents can. And here's the part that makes me catch my breath. The circle turns. Once I was naked in their bathtub, splashing plastic boats. Now I'm gray in the beard, sipping coffee on the porch, wondering what memories my own grandkids or other folks' grandkids might carry of me. That's the strange carnival at time. One generation sells calves and tomatoes, another generation just watches, wide-eyed, trying to take it all in. And if we're lucky, when we're old enough to tell the story, we find the rhythm again. Maybe not as fast as the auctioneer's chant, but steady enough to remind us. Life isn't just what happens. Life is what somebody showed us along the way.